Salve Discipoli, and welcome to Latin Lessons with Magistriade. Today, passives, part 2. So, last time we talked about what a passive is. In part 1, we went over what that looks like in English. We went over what it sounded like in Latin, but we didn't really start doing the Latin itself. So if you are not super confident in what the passives are, I recommend reviewing video 1 on it, part 1, and then coming back, because now we're going to be working on taking a sentence that is active in Latin and turning it into passive. So just for review, here is English passives and actives. Sorry, this is tilting. There we go. Okay, there we go. I'm so sorry. That took me a second. Okay, so Marcus punches Julia. This is active. It's happening right now. Marcus is punching Julia. Okay, then we have Julia is being punched by Marcus. Now, if you remember from the first video, part 1, we talked about how a passive in English will always have 2 giveaways. The 2 giveaways being is being and by. They will never show up in the active, but they will always show up in the passive. And you'll also notice that the person who's receiving the action of what's happening, or like the object that's receiving it, for example, Mrs. Straka drops the pen is being dropped by Mrs. Straka, that will always go to the front of the sentence in the passive instead of being at the end of the sentence. Hopefully this is ringing bells. Okay, now let's look at it in Latin. So in Latin, I'm going to do the exact same sentence, just for the sake of continuity. So, Marcus pulsat Juliam. Marcus punches Julia. Julia pulsatur a Marco. Okay, now there are a couple key things to notice. First, the verb. It goes from being pulsat to pulsatur. This makes it passive. That tour right there makes it is being. Okay? Then, another thing to note. A. A is literally just Latin for by. Okay, so Julia is being punched by, and then Marcus. And this one, you'll notice it has this O ending, and she does not have the direct object ending. It's not Juliam anymore, like it was up here. It's Julia now. That's because she technically is the subject of the sentence when it's in the passive, which is a little bit weird to think about, but that's just the way passives are. So, Julia is being punched by Marcus, and it's Marco for that. You'll remember for boys, it's always Marco, and then for girls, it's the A with the macron. I am a stickler about that, so like let's say that Julia was punched by some girl named, oh gosh, what's the name? We'll call her Rosa. Let's say her name is Rosa. She's being punched by some girl named Rosa. It would be pulsatur a Rosa with that macron. I will be stickler about that macron because it has to be in there. Okay, hopefully that's a good enough kind of summary, quick, of what we went over in part 1, as well as what we're going to be doing today. So for today, you'll need your whiteboards out, and a whiteboard marker, of course, to go with it. And we are going to be working on taking Latin sentences that are active and making them passive. Ooh, challenge. So, we will start fairly simple, and then we'll make it more complicated. So, I will give you the active, and you are going to make it passive in Latin. All right, so coming to us from chapter 2, or actually no, not 2, I'm sorry, from chapter 3. Mrs. Straka's going crazy. Everything's fine. So coming to us from Capitulum 3, we have Quintus pulsat Marcum. This is when Quintus punches Marcus. Now, I want y'all to make this passive in Latin. Now, remember how we had our checklist up here last time, which was is being and by? This time our checklist is tour on the verb and a meaning by, and also endings. Okay? So you have to be careful about the ending because otherwise it will get messed up. So I'll give you a couple seconds to work on making this passive, Quintus pulsat Marcum. I will give you a hint the first word of your sentence is going to be Marcus. It's not the ending. It's Marcus, not Marcum. Okay, that ending goes away when we make it passive. That's the first word of your sentence. All right. That means nobody should write Marcum or anything else besides Marcus. This is how your sentence starts. If your sentence does not start this way, you have done something wrong. Backtrack and fix it. All right. Give you about 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boards up. All right. This is the first one. So we'll see how many people got it. This is a little more challenging though. So don't be concerned if you didn't get it. So it would be Marcus and then our verb, pulsat, but we have to have a specific ending on the verb to make it is being instead of just punches. So what's that ending, everybody? Tour. That's correct. Then we need to say it's by Quintus. And how do we say by? With the macron. And it's by Quintus, but we won't write Quintus. Instead, we'll write Quint O with the macron. There we go. All right. If you got that, great job. Woohoo. We'll keep doing it with the masculine for now. So it's going to be that O ending on the last word every single time. We'll keep on with those a couple more, and then we'll switch over to some feminine and practice with that. All right, so erase. Let's go again. Let's do oh my goodness, I'm almost going off the end of my whiteboard here, but it'll work. All right, Julius vocat Davum. Julius wants his servant Dave, so Julius is calling Dave. Julius vocat Davum. We want this passive, so instead of Julius calls Dave, we want it to be Dave is being called by Julius. Remember, this is going to be the first word of our sentence, but it won't be the ending. It will be Davus. So don't forget, that's how your sentence should start. I'm writing sideways, so this will not be super neat. I apologize. All right, Davus. Then we want our verb with our ending. Make sure you go through your checklist and have all of these in there. So our verb with our ending. Then we need to say it's by, and then we need to say who is calling Dave. Who is he being called by? All right. Give you a few more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boards up. All right, let's see how many people got it. So it would be Davus, then our verb, vocat, tour, because we have to say is being. That's our is being right there. He's being called by Julio. All right. So then we look at our checklist. We had tour, we had and we had our ending for Julio. Okay. Did more people get it that time? Hopefully so. Okay, let's do one more with masculine and then we'll switch to feminine, okay? And feminine is honestly easier because it's the same ending. You just add a macron. All right. Let's do another one. Okay. Let's do all right. We're going to do a pretty similar one for our first of the feminines. Amelia vocat siram. So, Amelia vocat siram. It's Amelia is calling, or Amelia calls Sira. I want this passive. I want it to be Sira is being called by Amelia. Okay? I want this in passive. Remember, this is what will start the sentence, but without the direct object ending. Okay. So remember, it's going to start with Sira. I'll give you a freebie, guys. It starts with Sira. That's how our sentence begins here. And I'll give you about 10 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. It would be Sierra vocatur, because we gotta have is being in here. It's that guy. By Amelia. And it has to have that macron. If it's feminine, it has to have that. Okay? All right, so Sierra vocatur a Amelia. How many people got that? Did we all get it? Hopefully majority. I'm hoping for majority. And look, we have our checklist. We had tour, we had and we double checked that ending and made sure that macron was on there. All right, let's do another one. Let's do... We'll bring in a different of the maidservants. There's another maidservant. There's a couple maidservants in the book. Sura is one. You guys all know her. But there's also Delia. Delia is another maidservant. So we'll do a sentence with Delia. She doesn't get the spotlight very often. So, Amelia imperat. She orders Delium. Sorry, I'm trying to get this so that the glare of the light isn't on it too bad. All right, so Amelia imperat Delium. I'm not going to give you guys any helps this time. Besides that, you should probably double check the checklist up here. All right. Make this passive in Latin for me. Don't forget your tour ending. Don't forget your by, which is that ah. And don't forget to double check your endings. They're easier when it's the feminine. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boards up. All right. With 0 helps, how did we do? It would be Delia imperator a Amelia with the macron. Delia imperator a Amelia. Delia is being ordered by Amelia. And we had our 3 checklist. We have tour, we have by, which is ah, and we have our endings. Both of them. All right. Now, final thing we're going to do. I am going to write a sentence in Latin that's going to be passive, and you all have to translate it. I'll make sure that I'm using verbs that you guys have had. So up to chapter 5 for the verbs. I won't do any from chapter 6 because I'm assuming you haven't really done them yet. But there you go. Okay, so, Mrs. Straka. I'll start out nice and then we'll get tricksy. Mwahaha. All right. All right, your sentence that you're translating is not written very neatly. Hold on. That's not the sentence. It's not written very neatly. Okay, that's a little better. Julia pulsatur a Marco. Julia pulsatur a Marco. Give you a few seconds. You're writing this in English, by the way. You're translating, remember. So translating into English, what does this say? Make sure it's passive when you translate it, because this is definitely passive. We have tour, we have and we have that ending. It is for sure passive. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Correct answer. Julia is being punched by Marcus. Woohoo! If you got it, good job. Moving on. Let's do another one. We'll do one more, and then Mrs. Straka will start to get a little bit tricksy. Okay, let's do... Oh my goodness, that does not look like a U. Hold on. Why not? We'll mix this one up a little bit. Making sure I've got all of my stuff. All right. Davus vocatur a Julia. Davus vocatur a Julia. We just did ones with vocatur, so you guys should definitely know what vocatur means. Just saying. Should for sure know this. Give it a few seconds. Fix that I. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boards up. All right. It would be Dave is being called by Julia. Now, I was slightly tricky with this one because I think a lot of people were probably going to say that was Julius. It's Julia. There's an A. That's not an O. All right. Now Mrs. Straka gets tricksy. All righty. Let's do... I'm not sure if you guys will get this. This is pretty tricksy here. All right. I did two things here that are kind of tricky, so let's see if you catch it. Boom. Delia et Sira imperantur a Aemilia. Okay. There were two things that are different. For one, there's two right here. So, oh my goodness, but notice there's an N right here. What do you think that means? Now, we had imperator earlier, so hopefully you remember imperat, order. But this one has an N in it. And I'll give you a hint. It's the difference between this and that. So we'll see how many people can pick up on that. What sneaky, tricky thing did Mrs. Straka just do? Give you a bit more time on it. If you guys need more time, the teacher can always pause it while you guys figure it out. I'll erase this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boards up. All right, the correct answer is Delia and Sierra are being ordered or commanded, by Aemilia. Okay, so the sneaky tricky thing that Mrs. Straka did, that almost looks like one word. Hold on, let me fix that. The sneaky tricky thing that Mrs. Straka did was I made it plural instead of singular because I had two people who were being ordered by Aemilia to do something. Ooh. All right. Did we all manage to get that? Did you guys beat Mrs. Straka when she was being sneaky and tricky? Okay, that is the end of our passives review. Or I should say, rather, passives part 2. So in chapter 6, there's going to be a lot of passives. There will be some that are, well, actually, really all of them are going to be very, very similar to what we covered both in passives part 1 and this video. And so hopefully you guys are feeling confident. If not, you can always rewatch and re-review it to help get it into your heads. But that is it for today. Have a wonderful class. Volley to Skipoli.